Hi chessmates, welcome again to my channel. This is Coach International Master Roderick Nava, and today we're gonna do analyzing the best games happened in round number 10 in this ongoing US Chess Championship 2021 Men's Division. So let's take a look first on the game between Super Grandmaster Samuel Sevian versus Super Grandmaster Wesley So. At the end of this video, I will show you the updated standing and the hot pairing of the last round. Okay, so let's get started. Sevian played d4, Wesley played knight f6, knight f3, then Wesley decided to choose the d5 lines. Then Sevian unleashed the London system idea with bishop f4. Then Wesley played c5 to give immediate pressure on d4 and also releasing the possibility to control more space in the queen side. Then Sevian played e3, e6, with the simple idea of playing bishop d6, challenging the dark squared bishop. But there's a little bit hard time for e6 because the light squared bishop's diagonal was blocked. Okay, then Sevian continues with c3, a natural trademark of the London system where the pawns are in triangle at the center. So Wesley continue with the bishop d6, then bishop b5 check, development with tempo. He blocks with knight c6, then bishop took the knight, b takes c6, bishop takes the bishop, then queen takes d6, queen a4. So what's the idea of queen a4? So to give a little bit pressure on c6, but the main idea, the main reason is to play queen a3. So pinning the pawn to the queen and to give pressure on the c5. Then Wesley went castle to get his king safety, and this is a novelty. This is a new move. All right, because it was played before where Black played knight d7 in a game of Paravian versus Koizonov 2018 where White won. Okay, so I will put the link in the description below. All right, so let's go back with the novelty castle. Then White continues with queen a3, then knight e4. So centralizing the knight at the same time to give more support on the c5. Then knight fd2. Sevian wants to neutralize the knight on e4. Then e5, breaking the white's center by force. He noticed that the king of Sevian remains still at the center, so that is a very natural, ideal approach in this kind of situation. Then Sevian took the knight, d takes e4, queen takes c5, winning the pawn, but Wesley went queen g6 to get some compensation for the lost pawn. Then Sevian decided to sacrifice the pawn on g2 and he went knight d2, develop instead. But let's take a look at the possibilities where if white castle here, then black will go bishop h3, then winning the exchange. So white should play g3 here, otherwise the mate is coming. Then bishop takes rook, king takes bishop. Black won in exchange by quality up. Alright? So that's the main reason. And for example, if white would take the e5, then there is queen takes g2, rook f1, but still trapping the rook there with bishop a6, knight d2 with the same scenario of material exchange down for white. So that is the main reason for the possibilities. Okay, so that's why after queen g6, Sevian decided to play knight d2. Then Wesley took first the d4 pawn, queen takes d4, rook e8, so protecting the e4 pawn first. Because if black would take the pawn on g2, then white simply plays castle's queenside. Then preferably the rook on d1 goes to g1 to compensate some stuff of dangerous mating pattern for the black side. Alright, so yeah, it looks very dangerous for black. That's why Wesley decided to play rook e8 first. Then Sevian went castle and bishop a6. What's the idea of bishop a6? Black wants to play bishop d3 to protect the important squares, strengthening the e4 pawn. Then later on would play rook a b8 to give more pressure along the b file to attack the white king. So that's the idea behind. And Sevian played c4 to block the possibility to play bishop d3. Then Wesley went queen e6. So what's the idea? According to Stockfish computer engine, better was h5 to give more space for the king. So yeah, that's the good stuff for positional matter. But here, let's go back. Wesley went queen e6. Then Sevian played queen c5, inaccuracy symbol. All right, so here better was b3 with the simple idea of solidifying the c4. Then if black goes queen e7, crystallizing the dark square's weaknesses committed by moving b3, then white would simply play knight b1 covering the a3 square, and also later on would play king b2, knight c3 improving the knight's position, and that is really fine version of the position. Okay, but then let's go back on the real game happened. Then where white went queen c5, rook a d8. So Wesley decided to control the d file. Then b3. He decided to play bishop c8 to get some more sensible control, transferring to the king side diagonal. Then Sevian played knight b1. He wants to develop to improve his knight's position via knight c3 to control more squares. Then Wesley controlled the important square c3, queen a5 to give pressure on the d8 rook, challenging the d file. Then Wesley played h5, releasing the back rank weakness to get extra square for the king. But let's take a look first on the possibility of rook takes d1 check first, rook takes d1, then capturing the pawn on f2. So there's a deadly idea coming with rook d8 challenging the rook and also challenging the back rank. Let's assume with queen takes e3 check, then covering with the knight, king f8 of course to protect the rook on e8, then queen c7, a deadly move with the idea of queen d6 check, then after that rook takes e8 threatening mate, and also queen takes bishop coming. Then let's assume with queen c3 check, king b1, and there is no way for black to survive in this position. Quiet, very dangerous for black. Okay, so let's go back with h5. Then Sevian played rook d2. So rook d2 with the idea of rook h d1 and also protecting the pawn on f2. But as you can see, rook d2 received the inaccuracy symbol. So better was rook takes d8, rook takes d8, then rook e1. Okay, so what's the idea of rook e1 behind? Obviously, black is not able to take the f2 because of the queen takes d8 coming. And like for example, if black goes to rook d3, preventing the development of the knight possibility, then simply rook e2 protecting the f2 and with the idea of playing rook d2, neutralizing the rook on d3. So white receives a favorable evaluation here with slightly better. All right. So yeah, better was rook takes d8 then rook e1. But let's go back. Sevian went rook d2. Then Wesley took the rook. Queen takes d2. Queen g5 attacking the pawn on g2. And simply played rook g1 just to protect the g2 pawn. What a calm and patient move. Then Wesley played queen e5, threatening the pawn on h2, but receives inaccuracy. So here, better was rook d8, so attacking the queen with tempo, queen e1, queen f6, trying to play something like queen a1, destroying the king's position there. Then white will simply play h3, queen a1, then queen e2, protecting simply to protect the pawn on a2 and also with the idea of playing queen b2, forcing black to exchange queen. Okay, so let's go back on Wesley, thus queen e5. Then Sevian moves away his pawn to h3. Then Wesley went queen h2 to give more pressure. Then queen d1 simply to protect the rook on g1. Then Wesley back with queen e5. Then Sevian black it with queen d4, preventing the queen goes down to a1. Then queen h2, he went back again. Queen d1, protecting the rook again. Queen e5. Then queen d4, black it again, but receives bad move symbol. So here, better was king c2 with the idea of playing knight c3. So there's no way to afraid off with queen a1 because of knight c3, trapping the queen, forces the black to capture on d1, then rook takes d1 in a favorable endgame outcome for white. due to controlling the d file. Okay, there's a lot of weaknesses there in the queen side. So it becomes favorable for white. So queen e5, let's go back to Sevian, played queen d4 again. Then Wesley played queen h2 again, queen d1, ends up in a threefold repetition. Automatically, the game went drawn. Alright, that's all for Wesley versus Sevian. So let's take a look on the update in the standing. Alright, three players remains on the top. Super Grandmaster Sevian Samuel, Super Grandmaster Wesley So, and Super Grandmaster and World number 2 Fabiano Caruana with all 6 points. In this situation, the tournament winner still not yet decided. Last round is very hot, so let us see the pairing in the last round. Okay, Bruson Batista versus Lenderman, Caruana versus Shankland. So Caruana should win this game in order to at least closer for championship trophy. And Dominguez versus Cirques, Wesley should win against Robson to get on top, and also Naroditsky versus Sevian. Then Sevian should win against Naroditsky to get on top also, and Burke versus Shong. So let us see who will be the champion for this 2021 US Chess Championship Men's Division. Alright, so after this video, we will gonna analyze another game for this hot penultimate round, round number 10. Then after that, we will go for Women's Division for round 10 updates. Once again, thank you very much for having your time watching this video. And for those who haven't yet subscribed in this channel, please do subscribe to get more updates for my coming videos. Thank you very much once again. This is Coach International Master Roderick Nava. I'll see you next time, God willing.